don't you love me, love me, love me? Touch me, touch me, touch me no more. Why don't you love me, love me, love me?
This is a very long post, but I hope it will be worth the read. So I've been running a Pathfinder 1e campaign in a homebrew setting for about 2 years now. I have already posted several adventures of my party, who have earned themselves the nickname the Rash Ones. Now, here is my post on their latest adventure, somehow featuring even more wet moments than usual. First, the TL Doctor version. Rogue forgets he is not a barbarian. Barbarian ends up being the rational one. Questionable decisions and mums derail the adventure. The GM goes along with the absurdity and somehow, the table remains fun. So the setup is as follows. The GM Akami half-elf druid, my fiancé, and one of the 2 women in the party half-orc barbarian, human rogue, a quite reserved person IRL who has been very diplomatic in character in the past. However, as of 2 or 3 sessions, he has played much more aggressively, being more assertive for reasons I am not entirely sure of. Half-elf cleric of Desna, the other woman in the group, human cleric of Sivana, a friend of barbarians who was unable to take part in the session, mentioning him just for the sake of continuity. Also, a little disclaimer, all dialogue is paraphrased and some nuance will inevitably get lost in translation. And now, to the story at hand. So the party starts in an inn that they sought out in the middle of the night after the last mission went horribly wrong in terms of plot progression. For some reason, this development made Rogue want to roll perception to check if all the party's stuff is still there. Druid points out something along the lines of, "Dude, we're in a room. Our room. We slept here. Where do you think the stuff is supposed to have vanished?" Rogue argues at first but agrees and the party decides to continue. Last session went well enough for them to resume the main quest, after all. But first, some breakfast duh. They leave their room and I start describing some yelling coming from downstairs. This is where the session already starts going off the rails, as Rogue immediately reacts by saying, "I draw my sword." The entire party goes like, "Dude, WTF? We're at an inn. Maybe try not to alienate everyone here?" Rogue agrees and everyone goes downstairs. The yelling comes from a shouting match between the barbarians, a merc group the party met a couple of sessions, and some members of the Church of Hatred, basically your generic racist bad guys who hate non-humans. Barbarian is actually on a personal crusade against them, so the scene was supposed to be a tense moment of navigating the situation. You see, just a night before, the party did a thing that propelled them to the top of the wanted list in the city. Except no one really knew it was them, specifically. Only that non-humans were involved and that they came from elsewhere. So, the church was harassing any non-humans they could find in the hope that last night's perpetrators would come forward. Well, the episode for Barbarian was not in the stars, as Rogue said, "I draw my sword." The party immediately goes into an almost comedic "No, Rogue, don't do that." Rogue agrees and the party decides to ignore the situation altogether and order breakfast since the humans haven't done anything so far. Barbarian even managed to stay somewhat friendly, though trolling the church a little. This goes well until a church member walks up to them and demands they admit that it was them who did that thing. To make his point, he slams his fist on the table. Rogue reacts by saying, "You guessed it, I draw my sword." This time, the group is unable to stop him. All I can do at this point is telling everyone to roll initiative. Now, the party is at level 8, going up against very generic throwaway henchmen. Rolling as high as they do, they are basically slicing and dicking the bad guys Anim style. Rogue even fires his bow in close quarters, doing quite some damage. The fight is over in less than 2 rounds. The church members never stood any chance, but that's not the problem. The party, a partially non-human group, just drowned the inn in blood. In a city they are already wanted, which is the capital of a vast empire already struggling to maintain order. So I do the only sensible thing I can think of to defuse this mess is make the barbarians play songs that have hidden calming magic, while the party is piling up and looting the bodies. Not to mention Barbarian, who is soaking the church banners in the blood of slain foes before burning these banners. I'm sure that won't be suspicious at all. Sarcasm. After that episode that wasn't even really meant to escalate, the party kinda gets their stuff together and continues. Everything goes well for a while until they reach their destination through the sewers. You see, the quest has taken them to a closed library that houses some arcane knowledge their BBAG might be after. They arrive at a ladder that would take them directly to the library. Which wouldn't be a problem if Druid didn't have a large wolf for a companion. Barbarian actually proposes pushing the large, heavy AF wolf up through the hatch. I'm seriously baffled, but whatever, I let them do it. Everyone rolls really high on their strength checks and even the wolf rolls a nat 20 on climbing. The whole scene is actually hilarious, so it's fine. But then the party comes across a body. Upon closer examination, they discover that his chest is covered in blood. In addition, its ribs are bent outwards, as if something had previously been inside it. So like in Alien? Druid interrupts. Me, well, it basically looks like it. Barbarian, nice. Druid slightly concerned, nope. Not doing that. I'm outta here. She stayed, of course. But sometime later, they finally encounter the enemy. I start describing this large, black, four-legged creature that seems to be covered by some sort of slime. It's a xenomorph. Druid interrupts. The following discussion reveals that every single one of us has seen Aliens, at least once, so it made no sense to hide it. Yes, it was a xenomorph. Of course, a perceptive person may be wondering what xenomorphs are doing at a library in the first place. Well, I wanted to give my players a legitimate challenge, as nothing I have thrown at them seemed to be all that difficult due to Barbarian being a bit OP. Xenomorphs seem to fit the bill. Also, the campaign has been dealing a lot with portals and other worlds, so a xenomorph infestation is not exactly unimaginable. What follows is basically a lot of kill it with fire jokes, haunts, bring the flammer for references and metagaming deluxe. I kinda sorta let the fire thing slide, since it would make sense for the characters to try fire against a dangerous, uncommon creature. Maybe it was a bad idea to use xenomorphs in the first place, but I cannot really blame my players for metagaming here. I mean, come on, they're xenomorphs. Everyone knows what they are like and how terrifying they can be. At one point, the party finds the queen's lair with the eggs. Naturally, Barbarian suggests burning them. As Cleric is doing just that, questioning how well it will work, Druid says just don't lean over them. Again, I have to remind her to please not metagame, which has never been an issue before, but apparently, I can expect my party to stay in character when fighting these things. All the metagaming OOC talk aside, though, I'm not really complaining. One thing I'll praise about my party at any given time is that they know how to work as a team. These xenomorphs are CR8 creatures, meaning that a well-equipped party of level 8 characters can take one or two of them. And they do, slicing dicking, taking a lot of damage, but generally doing pretty well. Right until Rogue rolls a nat 1 for his attack. Now, I often let my players choose their own punishment for nat 1s, provided I have nothing really specific planned. Usually, they'll choose something along the lines of I drop my weapon or I stumble and fall prone. Maybe even an I hit myself for the amount of damages I would have dealt to the enemy. I realize how easily that could backfire, but it has worked well so far. Well, this time Rogue says I overswing, do a serious 360 spin and break my leg. Once again, the party goes, what? Why? Rogue, DM said I could choose. Group, but why cripple yourself like this? Are you suicidal or something? Me, Rogue, it's fine if you want to retire your character, but there are better ways of doing that. He claims he has no plans to let his character die. So we discuss the matter for a bit. Cleric and Druid heal him and bandage the leg and all. I then temporarily reduce his dex modifier by -4, but fortunately for him, the large wolf is still with the party, so he can ride into battle or at least not slow the party down. After that, I thought, duck it. Any semblance of a serious adventure is out the window now. So, let's at least have fun with this mess. So I let them wander around and find some really good loot which the players were calling for since basically session 1. More specifically, Barbarian has managed to find a deck of many things that he wanted for quite some time. And for the casters, well, they find a really ornate magic wand near a short note only calling it a flowery sparkling item, which is a translation from Blumeter Funkelnder Gegenstand as we're in Germany. Look at the capital letters and you'll know exactly what it is. And that's where we left the last session. A rogue with a broken leg riding a huge wolf, a barbarian in possession of the deck of many things, and spellcasters wielding a freaking BFG are going up against the xenomorph queen and her guard. If it sounds like a completely broken adventure to you, it's just because it is. But hey, I'm still excited for the next session. Weirdly enough, so is my party. I'm looking forward to whatever nonsense will come out of it, but I sure hope it will at least be glorious. Anyway, thanks for reading. Good day and good rolls to you.